Got it.
Oh, that's lovely.
Oh, thank you very much. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome indeed on this rainy April day.
It is raining. Yeah, it's raining all day here. It's cold.
Perfect day to talk about British rock.
That's right. I've got my teacup, my Alice in Wonderland teacup with the Cheshire cat.
Yes.
See that?
Yes, I see. Up? Yes, there he is.
Apparently, I made my mother read me this book over and over and over again as a youngster.
Mine says Thanos was right.
Was that a character in Jabberwocky? So today, what are we discussing, Dan?
I think you should introduce this one.
Well, this is one of my favorite eras, so I was like very excited. I even brought out an old book. Can you see that?
Yeah.
My mother got this for me when I was in middle school because I was obsessed with the British invasion bands. It started with the Beatles, of course, and then from the Beatles, it kind of went everywhere. And I got my, it's like you don't think your parents are listening, but then you get this present, and it's like, oh, they are paying attention. So, yeah, it's got big profiles of all the bands, and then it goes on to the, the not as well known bands. So
yeah. So what's our theme now? What are our?
Well, we're doing our theme. I know I'm a bit long-winded here.
No, it's I love that book.
Our theme is our favorite British invasion songs by bands other than the Beatles, and we defined the British invasion from 1964 to 1969, which some purists may say no, it's 67, but we're going to go with 69. So we're talking about our favorite. What's that?
Why does it start at 64? Because that's the point at which the Beatles broke.
I think so. Yeah, America. Yeah, came to America.
Yeah. So why are we? So why are we leaving the Beatles off?
Because if we included the Beatles, I think your list would be all 10 Beatles songs.
That's pretty much the reason. Yes, that's true. We're trying to give some other bands some daylight here.
Yeah. So I made my own rule. Usually I don't like rules, but I made a rule. I was only going to do one. Okay. A band couldn't have more than one song. I don't know how to say that. It's been a long day. So, I could, do 5 Kinks songs and 5 Who songs probably easily. But I decided to spread out a little bit. So,
yeah. Okay. No, that's great. That's a good rule. I didn't follow that as tightly as you did, although I almost did.
That's okay.
And I have a couple of songs that I think, I think a purist of the British invasion would probably take issue with, but I'm going to put them out there anyway. But you can fight me on them if you want to.
No, I'm a rule breaker. You know me.
Okay.
Half the time I get the podcast idea half wrong. So
I think the reason that I justified putting them in there is justified, but I'm probably pushing the envelope a little bit, to be honest. I'm
looking forward to these selections.
Because because it has to be by 69. So we'll see what you say when it comes up. But
okay, should I get my buzzer out?
Yes, get your buzzer out.
Okay. Do you want to go first? Or would you like me to go first?
I would love to go first.
Okay.
I'll go first.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. My number 10 spot goes to a band that will come up again for me on this list. It is your favorite and my favorite, I think, after the Beatles of this era. I think that's true. It is the Kinks, who, I think have some of the best songs of the 60s out of this era, other than the Beatles. I think they
Mhm.
are a very, very underrated band to this day.
Oh yeah, definitely.
It's the song Well Respected Man.
Oh yeah. He gets up in the morning.
I love that song. It's, it's
Both
really
popped up.
whimsical. It's a great melody.
Yeah. We
It's
used to
just,
do that song in high school.
is that right? Let's hear it.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I love that song.
So because the British invasion era is a well worn era on classic rock radio. That if you grew up listening to any kind of classic rock radio, which is it's hard to escape, a lot of these songs have really been played for a long time now.
Right. Yeah.
So I really tried to go with 10 songs that I'm still not sick of.
Okay.
Like not even close to sick of. And
yeah.
that's true of almost every Kinks song. And definitely that one.
Yeah, that's a great. The Kinks was one of the first concerts I ever went to, actually. 1981, maybe, up in Montreal.
Yeah.
And it was great. I was like completely like, I was already a Kink fanatic by then anyway. So seeing them live was just great. And then I saw Ray Davies about 10 years ago. He came to Burlington and played at a small place. And that was his band was just fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he played a lot of rare Kink stuff, like stuff off the Village Green Preservation Society record, that you don't hear a lot of, like Johnny Thunders, so it was,
that's
God
cool.
save the Kinks. Yes,
I saw them in college too, 1989, I think, or 88. They were on one of those, reunion things or never ending tour. I thought it was kind of wild that a band as big as the Kinks was playing My Little Stupid College. But
yeah, they had a lot of, they had bad luck initially, like, all those, like when the British invasion first happened, like the Who and Rolling Stones and the Animals and all these bands were having great success in America and they were touring. And something happened with the Kinks where they actually got banned, from like touring in America. I can't remember the exact story, but I'm sure one of my Kink aficionado friends will tell me. They got banned, so they couldn't play in the States for a number of years. And I think it kind of set them back a bit as far as like, more global popularity.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Excellent choice.
Yes.
We'll talk about the Kinks later.
Yeah, we'll talk about them more. But I can tell you this, I still hear their influence on a lot of artists. I hear their chord progressions in other songs.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think that they are very well loved in the rock community, although, rock and roll seems to be hanging on by a thread these days, but I do still hear it in some music.
I know. Yeah, they are.
Enough of that. What's your pick?
Okay, coming in at number 10 is a song by The Move, 1967. It's called "I Can Hear the Grass Grow."
I do not know that song.
It's by The Move. The Move were a band from Birmingham, England, up in the Midlands. They were really, really popular in the UK, but not so much in the US. A guy named Roy Wood was their leader, their singer, guitar player. And the song "I Can Hear the Grass Grow" was, I think it was based on, like, he was in college, he wrote like these fairy tales. And so it was based on, like fairy tales, but it's also very kind of like psychedelic-y, lyrics kind of have a Lewis Carroll feel to them.
I'm gonna create our playlist on Spotify as we're going here.
Okay. It's just a really cool song. It's been covered a few times by different people. And the thing about The Move, I guess, of notoriety is that towards the end of they weren't around that long, the late 60s or the early 70s. Jeff Lynne joined them in the early 70s.
Really?
Yeah. So he was briefly in The Move. And then I think he went off and formed Electric Light Orchestra with a drummer from The Move, Bev Bevan.
So this song is called again.
I Can Hear the Grass Grow.
You Can Hear the Grass Grow. Got it. I'm
Really
not going to play it on
excellent.
this podcast because I think we'll get in trouble for that. But
Yeah.
it is now in our playlist, which we will include in a link.
Yeah.
This podcast, and I'm going to add the Kinks, Well-Respected Man. Okay, done.
That's my number 10.
Okay, can't wait to hear that song.
It's a good one. It's got a great intro.
Thank you for suggesting that. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Just very short. It's very like subtle, but. All right, what do you got for your next?
Okay, my next one, my number 9 is a song by Donovan. Jennifer Juniper.
Oh yeah.
Which is I think my parents had an album when we were growing up. It was called like Songs of the 60s or something.
Like a compilation.
Like one of these weird compilation albums that some record label put together.
Uh-huh.
And it had a bunch of great songs, obviously, but none of the sort of like mega hits by the mega bands. It was more like second tier, third tier stuff.
Oh yeah.
And it had Jennifer Juniper on it, and I also thought that was a great song. Very, 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 very British and folky and
oh yeah,
dreamy.
Right.
And I've seen it used in a couple of movies over the years where it's really funny when it's got great placement in a couple of movies that I've seen.
That's cool. Was he?
Anyway, yeah, it's a great song. It's a great little song, and he's great. I love Donovan.
Oh, I do too. Yeah. Was he supposed to be like the British Dylan or whatever for a little while?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
There was always like the Canadian Dylan, the Norwegian Dylan,
The Norwegian Dylan. Who's that?
Lars. I don't know.
Lars,
like
Lars Sorensen.
That's right. Norwegian Dylan. Yeah.
It's just a very nice, light, sweet little song.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I love that song.
Yeah.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Well, as I started this exercise putting together my list, I came up with a lot of songs. I realized that women are pretty underrepresented in the British invasion,
Yeah.
But I did, and I started thinking of like different singers, and one of them I mistakenly thought was British, and she was an American, P.P. Arnold, who was originally part of the Ikettes, but she moved to England, and I always associated her with English music. But at number 9, I came up with a Dusty Springfield song, which a lot of people have done. It's "I Only Want to Be With You," off her first record.
She wrote that?
No, a guy named, I think Mike Hawker wrote it, I think, an English songwriter. And it's from 1964. It's from her first record, A Girl Called Dusty. And she had success before that, like her brother. She was in the Springfields. I think the Bay City Rollers might have covered that, maybe.
Really?
I think so. I had a Bay City Rollers record in middle school. Don't tell anybody.
Hey, it's okay. I think a lot of people did.
But she was like, the Blue-Eyed Soul singer, right?
Yeah.
In the late 60s, she did Dusty in Memphis, right? Which is came back, big time with the Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Not Reservoir Dogs.
Preacher Man.
Yeah. And then she did something with the Pet Shop Boys later, I remember, in the 80s.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I always liked her voice. I thought she had
She was the Adele of her time, I think.
I think she was, yeah. Yeah. So that's my number 9 song.
Cool. Yeah, it is hard to find women in it for this time period.
Oh, you know what else she did, which I had forgotten about? You remember the TV show, The $6 Million Man?
Yeah, sure. She
did one of the theme. They did a couple of different theme songs for that show, and she did one of them.
Huh.
where they're like, he crashes his rocket, and it's all dramatic.
Huh.
And then they go into the theme song, and that's her, actually.
Did she never do a Bond song? It seems like there would be a Bond song by her, but maybe not.
I don't think she did, no.
Hmm.
All right, so what's your next one?
I also feel like if she didn't, I feel like she should have made a country album at some point. But,
Dusty in Nashville.
Yeah.
Just go a little north. That's right.
Yeah. So one of the things I learned a little bit prepping for this was that there were these different musical movements in England at the time based on geography. So there was the Liverpool scene, there was the Manchester scene, there was the Birmingham scene.
Right.
There were a couple of other small cities, and each one kind of gave each one kind of had its own sound or its own vibe. And maybe there was even a little bit of competition between the different, cities a little bit.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
And these are all working class cities, and so you can kind of see how this kind of music would come out of environments like that.
Oh, definitely. Yep. Yeah.
My next one is a pretty famous one, "Wild Thing" by the Troggs.
Oh yeah, gotta love that song.
And kind of never gets old. Maybe it was wearing out its welcome a little bit at some point there, maybe the 80s or something.
Yeah.
And there were probably a few really bad covers of it.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it was used brilliantly in that movie Major League, right?
Oh yeah, right. Well, it's one of those songs when you're starting to play, you can play it, right?
Yeah.
Then
there's the Joan Jett version, which is great.
Joan Jett, Hendrix, of course.
Yeah, Hendrix's version. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I think I probably played it in high school numerous times. So
Hendrix's version has that backwards guitar loop on it, right?
Probably. Yeah.
So.
I would say so. Yeah.
Anyway, it's just but it is a very cool song. It's badass. Nice. It's a little badass, that song. It's very badass, actually. It's kind of like,
oh, it is. Yeah.
It's got attitude, and it's got just great, it's a little bit sexiness and just really raw, and
oh yeah,
you know what he's saying in that song. You don't really have to like look under the hood.
You're right. Yep, that's a great one.
You make everything groovy.
Yep. Wild Thing. Oh, that's a good one. My next one is a big hit as well, and it's by the Rolling Stones. Get Off My Cloud. I never get tired of that song.
And yeah, that almost made my list. It came very close.
And I know it's not Keith Richards' favorite song of theirs.
Oh, we're losing your audio a little bit.
My back.
I don't know. Are you using the microphone as your audio? Yeah, it just dropped out suddenly. I mean, I can hear you, but
yeah. How is it now? Is it okay?
It's okay.
Testing 1 2. Yeah.
Yeah, you're there.
Okay. All right.
Oh, that's better.
That's better. Okay. Yeah, Get Off My Cloud, the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
1965. And it's got that great drum intro by Charlie Watts, which you can hear the reverb. I mean, that song is just drenched in reverb, but it's like a good reverb, right? It's not like the 80s reverb. But the one thing I love about like Modern Times is listening to it, I could hear like, you hear like Keith Richards' guitar, or what is it? He's doing that kind of rough rhythm, but there's this really like faint other guitar behind it, and it's Brian Jones. I think he's playing like a 12-string electric during this really cool line, and you can hear like isolated tracks, like on YouTube you can do isolated tracks for Get Off My Cloud, and it's like, man, I wish they'd turned that up. It would have changed the song quite significantly, I think. Because there's this really nice melodic kind of like chiming guitar part. So if you get a chance, go to YouTube and do isolated guitar tracks, Get Off My Cloud.
Hang the mixing engineer.
Yeah, that was Andrew Loog Oldham, their manager, who produced it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he mixed it or not, but it was recorded like at the end of their tour, I think, North America. I think they recorded it in Los Angeles someplace.
Uh-huh.
But it's a really cool guitar part, and I thought, wow. But it was a long time ago, so people probably don't really care anymore.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much that was my favorite Rolling Stones song for most of my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean probably still right up there, but for a very long time that was really just the only song I really knew by them.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, I don't know.
Yeah.
My childhood, I mean.
Yeah.
And the lyrics are, I love the lyrics of that song.
Oh yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like it's a good song. The little bit of a bite to the lyrics, but not too bad.
What is it? I live on the of the 99th floor of my block. I know that part.
Yeah. Of course, yeah. Jagger was always hard to understand back in those days too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Yeah. So that's my number 8. It was the single after Satisfaction, so it had some,
It's pretty much the same chord progression as Wild Thing, right? The same thing. Is it just 1-4-5?
Yeah. In E, yeah. I think in the chorus it just goes like, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
that's all you need.
Good tune.
Jagger Richards.
So my number 7 is a very, very different kind of vibe song.
Yeah.
I really didn't discover this tune until I saw it, heard it in a Wes Anderson movie. Mm-hmm. It's called A Summer Song by Chad and Jeremy.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So, you could almost consider this like soft rock in a way. It's very, right. Very, it's almost corny. But I love it. I never get tired of listening to it. It's such a cool little song.
Yeah.
When the rain beats against my window pane, the summer rain, as you walk by. It's a cool little song,
It is. It's got a great melody to it.
Yeah, it's got a great melody, and like right in. I guess it's interesting with the British Invasion is that it definitely had different genres going on. It wasn't just 3-chord bluesy grungy rock.
Right. Yeah.
It was. It's just hard. It's hard to really define as a musical thing. It's more of just the geography and the time period of it. I mean, definitely there's when you're listening to a British Invasion song for the most part. Although that one, I don't think necessarily that's true. That song could almost be coming out of like the American folk scene.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah.
Technically, it's part of the British Invasion.
That's true. That's a good song.
Unless someone out there wants to prove, tell me I'm wrong. I don't know.
We get hate mail.
It is a great melody.
Oh yeah. What movie was that in?
It's in Rushmore.
Oh, okay. I saw that, but a long time ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, nice. Good choice, man.
By the way, Wes Anderson loves to use the Kinks.
That's right.
I think there's a Kinks song in almost every movie, and they're usually Kinks songs that are not well known.
Yeah. Oh, I've noticed that too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good man. Good choices. I like it. Mm-hmm. I do remember reading that about him as well, that he was a big Kinks fan. All right, you ready for my next one?
Yep.
I'm staying with the this was also written by Keith Richards and Mick Jagger, but it's done by Marian Faithfull, and throwing another woman into the mix as Tears Go By, her version, which I always like. The Rolling Stone ones always seem kind of like a little bit sappy, had the string arrangements, but it was just kind of like, I don't know, I had a kind of a dreary, sappy feel to it. Hers kind of moves along a little bit, actually. It's basically the same song, but it's like it kind of moves. The trivia on this is that Jimmy Page is playing the guitar on this as when he was a studio musician.
Wow.
I know. So he was playing guitar on that. It does have a nice arrangement to it, but I think with the tempo sped up, it works better for me for some reason. And her voice is, she has a really interesting voice. So, she's had an interesting career.
That's for sure.
Yeah. Faded in and out of the spotlight. And yeah. So that's my number 7 choice. Very faithful.
Did you say that the Beatles were also the ones that pioneered bringing strings into rock and roll music? Or was
probably
that being done by? Well, actually, Buddy Holly definitely used strings on a number of his songs. So I guess the answer to that is no. But maybe for the British invasion, for the British scene, maybe they were the ones that pioneered.
Right. What was the first Beatles song?
Pioneering is a hard thing. That's a hard word to say. But maybe they popularized.
They probably introduced it to a wider audience.
Yeah, and then maybe other bands wanted to kind of keep up with that vibe a little bit, because the Stones do use it a number of times. They use it on that song, Have You Seen Her Paint Dressed in Black, which has that lovely little piano opening.
Oh yeah.
But then there's that long break of those strings.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then it comes back in with the groove. But
I think people were watching each other pretty closely,
Yeah.
And like, oh, I like that. How can we make that work for us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah, as Tears Goes By.
That is a great song. I mean, I still like the Stones version of it a lot, actually.
Do you? Yeah.
It's definitely a little sappy, but it's also it's a really moody picture that it creates a real picture.
Oh yeah, I mean, for as young as he was to write that song from that point of view, pretty, I think probably stepping out of their comfort zone a little bit, Yeah. All right, what's your next one?
My next one is Ooh La La by the Faces. Now, here's where I'm going.
This is our controversial one, right?
This is the controversial one because, the band formed in '69.
Right.
The song doesn't come out until '73. So I know it breaks that rule, but man, whenever I hear that song, to me it just sounds like it's part of the British invasion.
Yeah.
I love the song. It was also used in Rushmore.
Yeah.
And so
I
don't care. I'm putting it on my list. And people can fight me about it if they want to.
We were just listening to the Faces the other night. We were talking about when Rod Stewart was, gather around. I'm going to tell you a story about when Rod Stewart was cool, Grandpa's going to tell you. I mean, because he sang with the Jeff Beck group, right, in the 60s. He did those 2 records with the Jeff Beck group, which are great records.
Yeah.
And then he did the Faces with Ronnie Wood and some of the guys from the Small Faces. And they were kind of like, the Black Crowes, like 1.0, in a lot of ways. They were, kind of swampy, bluesy, but a little bit of pub rock. They were a great band. Yeah, I love the Faces.
I mean, that song is definitely very attached in my head to that scene in that movie. It was, used really well in a very particular scene that is very memorable. So that's what happens sometimes with some of these songs,
They stick with you, yeah.
All the same, it doesn't take, even just on its own, it's obviously a great song, but
yeah,
forever now it is associated in my head with that scene. But I love that song, and I love what it's about too. It's just kind of like it's just the kind of a like, here's life, you know.
Right.
I wish that I knew what I wish I knew what I wish I knew then what I know now. You know, that whole
Right.
Yep.
That's
Anyway, that's my pick. That's my pick for number 6.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I love the Faces. That was funny. We were just listening to them last night. All right. My next song is a well-known song from 1966. It's Bus Stop by the Hollies. It's got that great intro. See if I can play it. Something like that. Anyway, it's just I mean, that song just, I mean, it just like, it's like pure pop magic or something, you know. And it was written by Graham Gouldman, who later went on to play in 10cc and wrote a bunch of their, he wrote I'm Not in Love, you know.
Which one?
You know that song? 10cc, I'm Not in Love. You might know it if you hear it.
Yeah.
But anyway, he wrote it as, I think he was like 20 or something when he wrote it. He was like from Manchester as well with the Hollies. Graham Nash, you know, famously played in the Hollies. But he doesn't. Alan Clark is the singer on this one.
I'm having trouble hearing the song in my head. Can you?
It's like bus stop.
Oh yeah. One about my umbrella.
Yeah.
Under my umbrella.
Yeah. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. So
cool. That is a good song. I forgot about that song.
Beautiful harmonies on that. Tony Hicks, the guitar player, plays those really cool licks in the beginning. And then I think Graham Nash left pretty soon after that to go to California, right? Didn't he? With those 2 other guys, whatever, Crosby and Stephen Stills.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right, the Hollies.
The Hollies Bus Stop, 66.
Forgot about that song. And I asked no, I probably knew that was a British invasion song, but
yeah.
I've never been really a British invasion historian of any kind, so it's hard. Some of this I'm a little unfamiliar with in terms of like how to define songs that came out of that era.
Yeah. I was, as I said earlier.
Well, you've got that book.
You got the book. Got books. I got more books. I was in love with that era as a kid.
Yeah.
And I would try to find records, you know, like I would read about these bands, you know, like, oh, the Spencer Davis Group. I wonder if I could find their record, you know, and it was like in Vermont in the 70s or 80s. It was kind of impossible to find those records.
Really?
Yeah, because I was too young. And then I was old enough to go downtown and I discovered this record store, Pure Pop, which is still there.
Oh, yeah, I know that store.
And they had these records there. And I was like, wow. So I started buying those records there. So, yeah. But at first, all I did was read about them and imagine how they sounded.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, too.
That is cool. Yeah. You have to kind of
wonder what these guys sound like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like when you read, like if you read Lord of the Rings and you've never seen the movies and you're like, you're putting Middle Earth together in your head.
Oh, yeah.
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 Which is much cooler, actually. So.
It is. Yeah. I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Definitely. So are we on to number 5?
Yeah. So I did have a song that I was going to put on the list, but it didn't seem right for some reason. So it's not on my list, but I just want to mention it here. David Bowie's Space Oddity is.
Oh, okay.
It came out in 1967 or 8.
Mm-hmm.
Fits the rule. He is British, but I never would think of that song as British Invasion.
Right, right.
Can you help explain that?
No. No. I mean, yeah, I think he probably technically is,
Yeah,
but I think the popular consciousness or whatever it's called, people associate him with the 70s and glam, you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
They wouldn't, so I think it's like he technically, sure, he fits into that. You could put it on the list, and I think it would be fine.
I think it would get
What do
on
you
the
think?
list on a technicality, but it wouldn't really.
Yeah,
It doesn't. I don't. It doesn't really fit.
right. Because I
What the
think
sound
everybody
of the
thinks of
British
Bowie,
invasion is. I mean,
right?
were there other big Bowie songs? Yeah, the Hunky Dory came out in the '60s, didn't it? The whole album.
I thought that was 70, but maybe I'm wrong.
Really?
1970, maybe. We'd have to
Well,
look.
what album is Hunky? What album is Space Oddity on? I thought it was on Hunky Dory. Maybe it's not. No, it's not on Hunky Dory. Little research, maybe. When
Research, car R&D.
all right, we're calling in the
I think
uh
everyone's gone home for the.
Space Oddity. Oh, that was on an album called David Bowie,
Mhm.
which came out in 1967.
Mhm.
Um,
Hunky Dory's from 71.
okay. So yeah, I mean that's an old song.
Yeah.
And the album's just called David Bowie, yeah. So there you go. I don't know.
If you want to put it on, I'm fine with it.
It fits our other rules, but I won't put it on the main list because I still feel funny about it. So my number 5 song is
Yeah.
by the Zombies.
Mm.
It's called a Rose for Emily.
Oh, nice. I love the Zombies.
You know that song?
Yeah. They were one of my bands that I read about, and I couldn't find their
Well, that book is
records.
getting a lot of plugs tonight. Who wrote that book?
Nicholas Schaffner. He wrote a lot of Beatle books. You probably have them.
Yeah. So Rose for Emily, I've always loved, and it's to me it sounds very much like it could have come from a much later era of music,
Oh yeah.
like the 90s. Like it
Yep.
fits. It's got that indie folk rock vibe
Mm-hmm.
that
Yeah, yeah.
really could have come out of another era. Um, so it's just a beautiful song, and
Oh yeah. The Zombies. Yeah. They had a stretch there of songs there where they were.
do you know which city they're from? Which scene?
I think they were from like north of London, like St. Albans area.
Hmm.
I think that's where they're from. Yeah, St. Albans. Yeah, they were. I always loved the Zombies. I think they're like probably not as not as recognized as they should be.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, they never had a super hit, I guess, right?
well, they had. I wrote down some zombie songs. What did I write down? Well, they had "Time of the Season."
Oh,
That was a big hit.
I guess
Um,
that's their super hit. Yeah.
yeah. I guess that album Odyssey and Oracle. Do you know that record?
No.
That's a great record by the Zombies. Probably, like critically, I think it was really well received. It
Is
probably
Rose for
sold a
Emily
lot.
on that album?
Is what?
A Rose for Emily, is that on that album?
I don't think it's on that one. Is it? Now let me R&D. Where's R&D? I don't think it is. Track listing. Oh, it is. Yep. A Rose for Emily. Yep.
What year is that album?
That is 67.
Yeah, so like I if you want to keep using the Beatles as kind of like markers,
Mm-hmm.
it's almost as if you have to see the Beatles have to do what they're going to do before you see other people do things that are kind of following suit. Like I don't know what year did Rubber Soul come out? That was 66, right? Or 67?
I think 66, I think.
Yeah, I think so. So that's when the Beatles start to get a little more folky.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I'm not trying to say that everybody was just sitting around waiting to see what the Beatles were going to do and then do it. I'm sure the Beatles were influenced by people, things other people were doing, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't know, maybe there was like a transition of styles that were starting. Also, Simon and Garfunkel coming over from the States. I think they were very,
Bob
very
Dylan.
influential on the British and the music that was coming out of England.
Right. Sure.
Harmony-rich folk music, folk
Mm-hmm.
pop.
Oh yeah.
So like Rose for Emily almost sounds like it's in the Simon and Garfunkel genre.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think I knew that. Yeah. I see that connection. Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it. That's my number
Yeah.
5.
I think it's interesting, like how, like, today it's so easy to like find out what someone is doing like right away. But back then it was, everything moved a little slower. So you were like following these different trends and stuff, and there was no internet, right? So you had to maybe listen more, go out more.
Now you're hitting on a topic that I think is very, very key to why, for me, I think music is a little less enjoyable and less interesting these days than it used to be.
Right.
And I think it's what you're saying. I think part of it is what you're saying. It's the speed at which everybody's influencing each other so instantaneously.
Right. Yeah.
And so you're getting a lot of music very quickly from all different people who are just kind of bringing their laptop home, hearing what they like and saying, I think I could do that.
Right.
And then if a week or two later, somebody's doing something else that catches on very quick, and millions of people are getting on their laptops and saying, I think I can do that.
Right.
Whereas I think there's something to be said for the slow evolution of change in music, so that like a little moment lasts for a while.
Yeah. I think it probably has to, like, I agree. I think I'm a kind of a slow processor anyway. So like, listening to a record is like a whole like ritual for me,
Yeah, like
that I still hold with me. I still like put on a record and I will listen to it from start to finish and think about it. And sometimes I'll be like, I don't know about this record, but then I'll listen to it more and more and I'll hear different things. And it may take me like a couple weeks or a month to be like, oh yeah, I really like this,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I think that
I may not know what I'm talking about. Somebody might completely argue with me that it's exactly the opposite or something. Who knows? But
yeah,
like I feel like if I was to try to write an album in today's style, I feel like by the time I finished it, that whole style would be over.
Right.
Which is why I just prefer to write in a style that speaks to me, regardless of what's popular right now,
Oh, exactly. Yeah. I think you reached that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, this is what I like and what a style that sings to me,
Right.
Yeah.
All right. What's your next one?
My next one is one of my favorite all-time songs in the world, and it relates to one of your choices. It's by the Small Faces, and it's Ichikou Park.
Oh yeah.
I think that's such a great song. And they were a great band. I mean, they were basically the Faces without Steve Marriott, right? It was Steve Marriott, the lead singer and guitarist. No. Ronnie Lane, I think, wrote most of Ichikou Park. He's the bass player. And then Kenny Jones was a drummer who went on to replace Keith Moon in The Who. And Ian McLagan was a keyboard player who I think played with just about everybody. It's such a cool song, It's got that great flange section in the middle, which I occasionally try to get. Sometimes I'll be doing a recording project. I think, how can I get that flange into this song? But it never has happened. So it's got a really cool kind of dreamy feel to it,
That is a good
song.
And
there's some great videos of, them on like German TV playing it or whatever, and English TV playing it back in the 60s. But yeah, I think Ronnie Lane, the guy who wrote, is like one of those underrated writers as well. Who passed away early. I think he had multiple sclerosis. Before there was like more advanced treatments for it. I think this was the 80s. He did a great record with Pete Townsend in the 70s. Ronnie Lane did, and he played with a lot of people. He's a great songwriter. So yeah, I love Ronnie Lane.
Lots to learn here tonight, kids. Get your paper and pen out.
Yep. All right, what's your next one? You going to go into the 80s or something? What are you trying to do to me over here? You gonna skip to the 80s or something?
No. So at number 4, the Who enters my list for the first time and only time, because I'm not gonna. Oh no, I have them twice. Sorry. Number 4 is Substitute. There they are. There they are with their little Beatle haircuts.
That's on my list too. Substitute.
Yes.
Sorry.
No, that's I love the I love the lyrics of that song.
Yeah.
It's obviously a great, the music is great. It's just awesome song.
It's got a bass.
The chorus is made. The chorus is, brilliant.
It goes to the E minor. I'm a substitute for another guy.
No, the main part of the chorus with substitute your lies for facts.
Oh, back to that part, yeah. Yeah. Sure. Yeah, that's a great song.
Yeah.
Bass solo in it.
That's right. There is a bass solo in it. Yep.
Yeah, I remember reading that. I think when that part came up, Antwistle just turned up his bass and let it rip. And he goes, "What?" It was like back in the days where it's like, "What are they going to? They can't turn me down now." So, yeah, that's a great song. That was my number 2 song.
Ooh, is there anything else you want to say about it?
Pete Townsend, a great writer. I could have easily, probably the Who are another one of my favorites. I think it was always the Who and the Kinks for me.
Yeah.
I could have chosen any number of Who songs. Can't Explain. I could have chosen My Generation. Yeah, that's a great song too. Magic Bus. All these songs,
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough when I was in high school to play music with these 2 other people that loved the Who as much as I did. So we watched that documentary, The Kids Are All Right, like all the time. All the time. We knew it was like we could kind of talk along with it, and we did all these Who songs, My Generation, Magic Bus, Can't Explain, Substitute. I think we did Anyway, Anyhow, Anywhere. So yeah. So I brought my Who book tonight. Yeah.
I think they were a lot of fun.
They were very unique.
More than anything, they were just so fun.
Yeah.
Maybe they hung around a little too long. I don't know. You could probably make that argument, but their 60s stuff is amazing. I don't love their 70s stuff as much. There's a couple of exceptions, but it got a little too like epic rock for me, like a little bit too arena epic rock. When they were cranking out those little 2.5 minute gems.
Right, Substitute's like 2 minutes 50 seconds, or something.
Yeah, it's great.
Or 2:59 or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
There was definitely a transition where they, I think probably starting with Tommy, right, where they got more kind of grandiose. And
I do love Tommy. That is a great album.
Yeah, I love Tommy. I like Quadrophenia too. I think some of the songs I've just heard too much, like Baba O'Reilly and Won't Get Fooled Again. I've just heard them so much.
I can't do those songs anymore.
When you talk about classic rock, that's what I associate with classic rock, like 70s stuff,
Yeah, I guess you're right. 70s is more classic rock.
But I like the Who Are You record for the song Who Are You. The last one that Keith Moon did with them. I think that's a really good record.
Yeah. I don't love Who Are You. I don't know. That song, that's like Won't Get Fooled Again for me. I think
Oh, really?
I've maxed out on it, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I love that song. um and then they, after Keith Moon died, it was like it was different,
I do love that. I love that middle section of Who Are You though.
Uh-huh.
When it do 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 do, that little piano
Yeah.
part.
Yep.
That is a cool break. I like that a lot.
Yeah, that is. Yeah, I remember when, like, one of their farewell tour or whatever, the first one, I think it was in the early 80s.
Yeah.
And I think they were in Toronto. They were like in Toronto for their farewell concert, and there was like, you could go to a place here in Burlington and watch the show on satellite TV, so a bunch of us went and watched it.
Yeah, I remember I had that album. It was called Who's Last, and it was like this. It had it opened up. The cover opened up.
Mm-hmm.
It was like it was this big grand thing that they were saying goodbye. And
oh yeah,
it was the first of many, many, many goodbyes.
Right, not true.
But none of this takes away from a song like Substitute, which is just
yeah
freaking great.
It's a great song. Yeah. Yeah, that's my number 2. Is it me again, or is it you?
You want to do your number 4?
Sure. My number 4 is by the Yardbirds.
1965.
We actually heard this on the podcast that you sent me the other day, The History of Rock and Roll in 500 Songs. It's Heartful of Soul by the Yardbirds. How does it go? 65. Jeff Beck replaces Eric Clapton in the band, and it's like, people are starting to use sitars, right? The Beatles, the Kinks, and that was supposed to be a sitar part, I guess. And they brought in a tabla player who was great, and a sitar player who couldn't. Apparently, Jeff Beck said the guy couldn't get that rhythm, the 4/4 rhythm. He was so used to playing in these complex, rhythms that, like, 4/4 just was like, didn't work for him. So Jeff Beck said, no, it goes like this, and he played the riff, and so they just kept his guitar in there. So it's got it does that great kind of minor to major change, from the verses in a minor, D minor, and then it kind of goes into that galloping middle section where it's in D major.
Nice.
Yeah, Heartful of Soul, Yardbirds, also written by the same guy who wrote Bus Stop, Graham Goldman.
I hope these guys, got good royalties for all their songwriting.
I think Graham Goldman did okay, yeah, because he was in 10cc and they made a lot of money. So I think, yeah.
Good. So that's good to know. These guys need to get paid. These lesser known names.
Yeah. Graham Goldman. He still plays.
Yeah.
He still writes. He does like these kind of showcase gigs. Yeah. Check him out, kids.
Check him out.
All right, what you got? What's your next one?
The next one is it's a double Who. It's another Who song.
Nice.
I love their lesser known stuff from that era. I mean, it's still pretty well known, but Pictures of Lily.
Oh yeah.
I love that song. I know it's kind of silly, right? It makes you laugh, but it's such
it does, yeah, the subject of the song, yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Sorry. No, it's a great song.
Yeah.
Pictures of Lily. Yeah. Play that one too. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you just learn a lot of their songs when you were young?
Yeah, I think I think because we were like all Who fanatics, we were like started just playing all those. I think I had like that compilation, Meaty Beaty Big and Bouncy, that
Yeah,
greatest
I
hits
had that too.
collection.
I had that too.
Yeah, and I had everything, and I had like pictures of Lily, Legal Matter,
Legal matter, baby.
yeah.
There's another.
Yeah.
What are some of the other ones? Because there's another one that I love on that Meaty Beaty Big and Bouncy album. That's kind of like Pictures of Lily. It's very like light.
There's Happy Jack.
Yeah, Happy Jack.
Wasn't
Yeah.
all bloody. Yeah. I can't remember how that one goes. We used to Happy Jack. I'm a boy. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a boy. That's a good one too.
Boris the Spider.
Yeah.
What else is on that one? I think Pinball Wizard is on that one too. Yeah. Magic Bus. Yeah. So I think we just learned all those songs probably at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love Pictures of Lily. It's a great song.
Oh yeah. Oh, The Kids Are All Right is also on it, which I think is a beautiful song.
That has great harmonies.
Yeah, it does. It's kind of got a Beach Boy influence to it.
Yeah, it's got a little Beach Boys in it. Yep.
Yeah.
Or Birds,
The Birds, yeah.
Yeah.
That can do that too. Yeah. Good choice. All right, you ready for my next one?
Yeah.
This is I think it was 67. It's See Emily Play by Pink Floyd.
I don't know that one.
I think it was a single. I don't think it was on Pipers at the Gates of Dawn. I don't think. It's a Syd Barrett song. It's got kind of like this really kind of cool slide guitar part. It's not bluesy at all. It's like kind of more like esoteric and kind of avant-garde slide guitar playing. It's got crazy effects. It was produced by Norman Smith, who worked with the Beatles as an engineer for years. And it's got a really cool production. It's got kind of like that 60s kind of psychedelic harpsichordy sound to it, and the crazy slide guitar, kind of like when you think about the psychedelic era and the whole psychedelic scene in London at the time at the UFO Club, that probably kind of is the first song that comes to people's minds, I think. See Emily Play.
See, I don't. The Pink Floyd is another band that I don't really associate with the British invasion.
Yeah,
I think of them more as being, what they're going to become later, just like Bowie, sort of. He's going to become a part of a different movement.
Yeah.
But they do start in that era, and they do have some great songs that came out. So
I think of them as like two bands. I mean, because they're so different. Like the Syd Barrett Pink Floyd.
Yeah.
And then there's the David Gilmour 70s kind
Genesis
of,
is like that too.
Kind of like, huge thing that kind of moves around the world,
Right.
And plays stadiums and, So I put them on there. I guess I'm breaking the rules as well.
Yeah, it's like the Peter Gabriel Genesis and the Phil Collins Genesis.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Right.
Two totally different things, just sharing a name.
I know. Can you picture Susu Studio like playing drums, Genesis?
That would not work.
All right, what's your next one?
My next one is my only Rolling Stones song on the list. Ruby Tuesday. Which one. Maybe my favorite Rolling Stones song.
Oh yeah?
I guess it would have to be if that's the only one I put on the list. Well, from the 60s anyway.
Right.
I do love Get Off My Cloud also.
Yeah.
And I love Satisfaction too. But I don't know. I love that. I love the refrain of Ruby Tuesday.
Yeah,
It really gets to me.
yeah, it's a great song.
It's very like it's a very emotional little chorus. You
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah,
it's kind of like it's sort of like dripping in nostalgia a little bit. Like he's singing about kind of this person that he used to know or has to let go of or whatever.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
I love, yeah, that era. That's a great era for them
yeah.
because I think they had two. I had Brian Jones and Keith Richards, and I think they were. If you listen to the guitar parts, they're really like really weaving in and out of each other, and it's hard to tell who's playing what sometimes. And I think other bands kind of picked up on that later,
Mhm.
like Television, and other two guitar bands. But I think they did it really well. It wasn't just like they were strumming, you know. One guy was doing a little lick or something, and the other guy was doing more rhythmic stuff, and then they would switch. So
Well, see, here's
yeah,
melodically, like the Stones always get kind of labeled as a blues band, like the greatest, the great blues garage band, bar band of all time, that whole thing. But
hmm
whenever they turned away from that sound and went more into like different style of melodic writing,
yeah,
they were really great. Like the
hmm
melody of the choruses and the verses of Ruby Tuesday are beautiful, like
yeah,
really
oh
well
yeah,
structured. Like it's hard to believe. You almost can't believe that McCartney and Lennon aren't in the room somewhere. Like, okay, guys, you don't always have to write blues songs. You could also do this. Check this out.
yeah, yeah,
But yeah, I mean, those are just beautiful songs, beautiful melodies, and
yeah.
same
I
with
think yeah.
the one that you had on your list.
Get off my cloud.
No, the other one, the one Marianne Faithfull did.
Oh, as tears go by.
Yes, Tears Go By.
Yeah.
They're just beautiful songs.
I think they probably maybe took a little bit longer to shake off that kind of heavy blues influence because they started off as such, like playing Muddy Waters songs and Chuck Berry songs. And, a lot of their early records had a lot of those songs on them. And I think maybe it took them a little longer.
Yeah.
But I think by the time you get to, like 66, they start writing, you know, um, Street Fighting Man and, Jumpin' Jack Flash, which still had kind of a blues influence to it, but it was more their own. It wasn't like oh, this is what Muddy Waters would have done. It
What year did
definitely
that
had
come out? Jumping Jack Flash. Is that
67, maybe 60,
Hmm.
68, maybe. So I think once you reach that, like the Let It Bleed record, um, you know, they had those run of records that were really, I think, pretty innovative for them, as far as songwriting goes. And
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like they're a cool way to look at bands is that because okay, every band that gets together is just four human beings or three human beings, right?
right,
And what makes them special? Like if you had shuffled out some members of the Kinks and put them in the Stones and put some members of the Stones in the Who or whatever, would you have gotten much different music? And so I always come back to this idea that like every all these bands has what I
yeah,
like to call their secret weapon,
uh-huh,
the thing that gave them their uniqueness,
yep,
so that they weren't just a group of people making songs.
oh yeah,
So for me, the secret weapon of of the Who is Pete Townsend. Like that's not really a stretch to say that, but
right, yeah,
he's just such a unique musician.
yep,
So if you take him out and put someone else in, you're not going to get anything
no,
close to what the Who gave you, right?
right, that's true, yeah,
And I think the secret weapon of the Rolling Stones is Keith Richards.
hmm
Uh, I think the secret weapon of the Beatles is John Lennon. Not to put the other guys down anyway, but I think he was a very unique talent.
hmm
Um, and so you go on and on,
right,
and sometimes with some bands they were lucky enough to have like more than one. I guess you could make
oh
the
yeah,
argument that's why the Beatles are the greatest of all time because they kind of had three.
yeah,
um, But I don't know. I don't know. You ever think of it that way? Or does that make sense? What I'm even kind of trying to
Yeah. Oh,
express?
sure. Well, I think about it sometimes. It's like I think with the Who, like this shouldn't work, right? You know, it shouldn't like they're not like, you know, Pete Townsend is not like your, you know, like I mean he can play regular guitar, but he's pretty aggressive, you know. You have all really aggressive players like all and the singer too, right? You know, like Keith
Yeah.
Moon is not playing, you know, do, you know, and John Entwistle is a really busy bass player. Like I think this shouldn't work, but somehow it like gets molded. It got molded into these great songs, you know.
Yeah.
So I think probably Pete Townsend was the secret weapon or the catalyst or the producer for that, you know, like knowing, you know, when
He's
to
the
pull
primary
Keith.
songwriter too, right? I mean,
Yeah, Townsend wrote all their songs, you know.
yeah, yeah,
Um, so I think knowing when to pull Keith in, you know, like knowing when to let them loose too, you know, it's like
yeah,
um yeah, I don't it's funny what makes it work, right? You know,
yeah, yeah.
the Kinks have two brothers who fought constantly. You know, you read those books about the Kinks and they're like, you know, like throwing things at each other, you know, like throwing symbols at each other like frisbees, you know,
Right.
just crazy stuff. And in the middle of that, they managed to write these beautiful songs and record them, you know.
I guess it's really kind of unfair to say that there was really only one secret weapon in these bands, and that this is what made these bands the greatest bands of all time, because they
Mm-hmm.
really do have probably at least two secret weapons. Although
Yeah,
sometimes not so. Like the Beach Boys, clearly their secret weapon was Brian Wilson.
yeah. I
Right?
think you could
You
have
take
taken
him
most
out.
everybody out.
Yeah, you take him out, and there's probably not anything that's going to rise up.
Yeah.
So it's
But
not
you
going to,
take, yeah,
so he's clearly their secret weapon.
right.
They probably would all freely admit it.
Oh, I think so. But I
Except
think
for
with the Who,
Michael
if you
Upton.
take when you but you see like when you took Keith Moon out of it, right, and you got a good drummer, it just wasn't the same, you know. Not to take anything away from Kenny Jones, but
But did the Who
um
have any more great songs after Keith Moon?
I think well they had what's that song, Eminence Front or whatever. Um
I don't know that one.
they had a couple songs that were on the radio, Eminence Front, Athena, I think Athena.
I have no
So they
idea how much I need her. That one.
yeah, I think so.
That's the Who. I always thought that was a Pete Townsend song.
It's Who, yeah, from like 82 maybe.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's okay.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I think I don't know. Yeah, I think it varies. But you're right. Like the Beach Boys, you could take everybody away, and Brian Wilson would still produce those beautiful songs we know, right?
Right.
But if you took, yeah, I don't know. You know, I think it depends on the band. You know.
Uh-oh. Get a little weird message here. I don't know if this is gonna. I hope this isn't on the video. It says that my software is trying to update.
No, I don't see anything.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'm ready for my number. Or did you do your? Well, your number two was substitutes. So
Yeah,
we're both up to our number ones, right?
yeah.
All right. There's only one choice. You ready? On the count of three. I think it's going to be the same song.
Does it have? Yeah, I think so too. Should we play it?
I don't know how to play it.
I'll play it. I'll play the intro. Count me in. I think I know the intro.
It's one,
What?
2, 3, 4, 1, 2.
Waterloo Sunset.
Waterloo Sunset.
No, it's only bad. Did you hear that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that was beautiful. So
And
that
then
is I think that is hands down the best non-Beatles song to come out of that era.
I think it's a beautiful song. I think I would put it up against any song in the 60s, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think quite honestly, I don't even think it's close.
I think and man, it's just like the verse section is just like this simple like E, B, A with those beautiful lyrics about, you know, watching these two people along the Thames and Waterloo Station.
Then it's got
and then
that
it goes into the
and won't be afraid.
right. And it goes up to the major. It's like, yeah, yes,
It's on another level.
oh, definitely, yeah.
That is the coolest song. It's the most beautiful song. It's so sweet. And yeah, like you say, what it's about is just it's just like a slice of life little thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. I could listen to that song all the time. Yeah, off the Kinks, they got great records. Something Else by the Kinks.
So I was messing around with that last night. That middle part.
Yeah.
And I instantly heard this Amy Mann song in my head.
Oh yeah.
She uses the exact same progression in that song "Save Me."
Oh, the minor to like the augmented or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That's her version.
Just that little run on the E chord, going
she does.
to the minor E minor seventh, I think, or E minor sixth. That's just a great. I love that progression. It's so moody, and it's a great. It's for a great bridge in Waterloo Sunset.
Yeah.
And then she uses that as her verse.
Oh yeah, such a beautiful song.
Which, I just think is great. It's just that's how music should be. You should be taking other people's ideas and weaving it into your own ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no problem with that. I think that's how it should be.
Oh, I know. Yeah, yeah, the Kinks also could have taken up 10 spots for me.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I was thinking.
Then it goes right back into the.
Yeah. Are you playing in D?
Yeah, is that wrong?
Oh,
I think it's
they do in E.
Yeah, sorry, I should have capoed it, but
no, it's okay. I was like,
I'm so sorry.
no. I mean, everybody plays it in a different key. I mean,
anyway.
Yeah.
So that's my number one.
Me too.
Take it away, Kate.
Yeah, I went through all the Kinks songs. Village Green Preservation Society is also another one of my favorites. And there's so many great songs on that record as well. I mean, Picture Book, Johnny Thunders. And then there's other Kinks songs, Autumn Almanac.
Yeah. I love that song.
Yeah, and just, it could have been any one of them.
And I don't, what's that song? I don't wanna go, shoot. Don't know what to do about the time. Forget it. I can't think of it.
It'll come to you later.
Yeah. Yeah, they're great, Great band.
Go out and buy Kinks records.
Yep. You really can't go wrong. They're full of surprises too, like songs you wouldn't have known were them, or songs that become hits what are really, really good.
Yep.
So yeah. I mean, it's hard to say that a band that famous and that successful is underrated, but somehow they always seem to be to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think people don't initially think of them, but I have a group of friends who will go to bat for the Kinks every time, against just about every other group in the world. So, yeah.
And their 70s stuff is great too. I think
they did. They came up with
a really nice job moving into the 70s, and
yeah,
they have so many good songs.
even in
low,
the
low
80s.
budget.
Yeah.
This is Captain America calling. What's that song? This is Captain America called.
Oh yeah.
And they have, to me, they have one of the maybe the top three.
Catch Me Now I'm Falling. Yeah, Catch Me Now I'm Falling. Yeah.
Father Christmas.
Yep.
And then they get a little disco in there at one point, right? With
Oh yeah, they did. Yeah.
I Wish I Could Fly Like Superman.
Yeah.
Right. That's almost got like a disco.
It does. Yeah. It's got a dancey beat to it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then that great album, Give the People What They Want. That was like early 80s, right?
I think that was 1980. And then they came back with another one with Come Dancing.
Come Dancing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's probably the last thing they had. That was
yeah. And then, we didn't really hear much. Ray Davies has done some really good solo records.
What's that song about searching on the radio for the DJ who's missing?
Oh, yeah. Oh, right. That's off. Yeah.
That's on Give the People What They Want, I think.
Round Dial.
Around the Dial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was heavy guitars on that stuff too.
Yeah. Their guitars get even heavier in the 70s. It's cool. They're a great band.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Yeah, one of my favorites. Definitely.
Well, I guess that's it. That's our list for tonight, huh?
I know. Thanks for tuning in, everybody.
Yeah. We have some good stuff coming up. We'll get that out as soon as possible.
Sounds good.
And now it's time to go watch some baseball. Today's opening day.
Oh, right. I haven't been following baseball at all.
Opening
the
day.
Mets have a huge payroll, though, right?
They do have a huge payroll.
They're becoming the evil empire.
Yeah, and so far everybody's just hurt, so we'll see how that goes.
Blasted those Mets.
Yeah. All right, Theodore. See you next time.